Tim having Durivage that was running. Early on, if we start hitting a time where running.
Stanford Life and Homesteads Department from District.
This is the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all.
Say, meeting of Fire District, roll call.
Here. Rich.
Here.
Brian. Here.
Mr. Garrett's been excused to be a few minutes late. Public session for agenda items only. Right, not hearing anything. We'll move on to the district building report. Chief Dino.
Not a lot going on this month. We did have some contractors in the building doing some minor work. Biggest thing was AJ sign didn't show up today. They worked 8 hours on the Weinstein sign. They'll be back tomorrow to finish up what they have to do on the Weinstein sign, and then probably we're gonna move these across. And they may or may not finish tomorrow. The gentleman Dave from AJ sign wasn't sure because of the miles we had to get done. But other than that, the water dryer was delivered, electrician wired that, and you're on board for the other after that. And Chris Mechanical was in doing some repairs on soundproofing, and Elan was in there doing some minor adjustments after they had inspected the hood. So other than that, I don't think there's anything going on. I haven't heard anything else from Jay and that group. And unless Bonnie has something to add, pretty sure that we're good right now.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna have the final payment application from MJG tonight. They do have several documents that they need to provide the district first to properly close out their contract. We did not receive it. We do still owe them in the range of $45,000, and we were going to hold off until AJ sign issue was resolved. It's really the last thing, other than possibly another payment to Finney Group for construction management. That's something that may be contested by the contractor, but I know we'll have it for next month. Should have good numbers for you, Sean, next month also.
Yeah, we got to stand.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, moving on to department's president reports. We're in an odd month, so DFT.
President Steer's not here. He said his report is in Dropbox.
All right,
Really, there were no new applicants or
no
facility use requests.
perfect. All right, moving on to WFT.
All right, presented to you were 4 new member applications. A lot, which is good. We also received some sort of community program fund from the Rensselaer County Legislative for $1,800. Probably going to be used for funding the 911 memorial at the station. And that's really it. I believe the letter should be on file for you guys.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, moving on to prior or approval of prior month's minutes.
Make a motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. All right, moving on to treasury report.
Here comes the bank recs for your review and to sign off on. The treasurer's report through April 30th, 2025. Money market account has a reconciled balance of $1,111,897.86, earning $1,860.78 worth of interest for the month, total of about $7,000 for the year so far. WFP capital projects, solid balance of $392,132.25, earning $563 per month. 2,641 for the year. The general fund checking account has a reconciled balance of $861,902.36. Interest of $1,568. A little over $5,000 for the year. Attached to, well, you have it on your digital Dropbox, are copies of all the bank reconciliations, all the canceled checks, the listing of all of the checks that were sent out from the check register, who they were paid to, and the dollar amount. So that ties out to the canceled checks listed in the bank statement. And then finally, you have the report of the actual expenditures compared to the budget. That concludes my. Oh, and just not that it matters, but I'm leaving Friday and I'll be back the following Sunday, so we'll be out of town for like 8 or 9 days. You like to lay it out. Of course.
Approval of current month's invoices.
Can I get a resolution to set the treasurer's report?
You're right. Sorry.
Sure.
Nice and sunny. And Robert. Checking that out.
Yeah. Rich. Yeah.
Aye.
Dan, I don't know if you caught my report, but yay, nay, or
Well,
abstain?
we're only accepting it, so yay.
Okay. Brian,
All right, now on to the current month's invoices.
on the top of each one. Yeah. Okay, check.
Bob, you did the month's invoices, right?
Yes, he signed off on the invoices this month. He was earlier today doing that.
No
Make a
issues.
resolution to pay the bills. Second,
Roll call vote.
Brian. Aye. Dan. Nick.
Aye.
Sorry. Rich. Aye. Robert.
All right, correspondence received.
We received the M&T. Ready?
Yep, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. We got the M&T collateral statements for the end of April. Premier fire apparatus report on the 9/7 coolant leak was received. Association of Fire Districts of New York Fire District Affairs newsletter, April through May. Rensselaer County Bureau of Public Service, or Public Safety memo, the rollout for CAD and an MOU was received, and that's also included under new business later. New York State Association of Fire Chiefs regional hands-on training announcement was received, and also not on the list, we just received this evening right before the meeting. We received 6 waivers of liability agreements for the WFD auxiliary.
And now they added in the Dropbox by tomorrow. Just so you guys know what to look at. All right, non-stat, any old business? Not hearing none. All right, new business. An MOU for firefighter services with the Upper Mountain Fire Company. If anybody's had time to look over it, we have any opinions, comments?
We go back and forth between chief and and parties. This one back and forth. Are you comfortable at the end? I would make a resolution.
Resolution, yes. The resolution has time.
Resolution that we approve.
I'll second it. Roll call
Bob. Aye. Rich. Nick.
Aye.
Dan.
Aye.
Brian.
Aye. All right, the second, order of new business is, MOU of, the new CAD system. Anybody had any time to read it? Any ideas? Comments?
I don't completely understand.
It's computer language to me, so
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
just with you.
are we spending any money here? Are we, what are we,
Leave the money.
what are we agreeing to?
You're buying a pig in a poke, and basically they're rolling out and you're agreeing nothing's their fault. If it is their fault, you're gonna be responsible for it.
So we're indemnifying them.
That was a curious provision, that's paragraph 6, that,
Yeah.
yeah, that's for anything, let's see, arising out from or in any way connected with the actions which arise from the negligent conduct, negligent actions, or negligent failure on the behalf of the user.
I want to put it in non-computer words. You know, we know that there's a new CAD system coming. We know there's going to be mistakes on both sides. We know that this, no new system is perfect. But to roll out a document and say, yeah, we know that, but all the mistakes lay in your house, not ours. That just is, that seems unreasonable to me.
Well, the part I have a problem with is, they list the things, and this is problems with the user, negligent conduct, negligent actions, or negligent failure to act on behalf of the user. You don't usually see those words in it, negligent failure to act. So in the worst case scenario, you get a call, you don't go, and it's all their fault, but you didn't act.
Right.
That's the part I have a problem with.
I mean, we have had calls in the rollout of the CAD and so it's just the system worked around where departments were mistakenly dispatched or tones didn't go out and we just, everybody wrote it off the same. It's a learning curve, it's new software, it's, dispatchers are learning it, we're learning it, shit happens. And I get that, but I see this today. Shit may continue to happen, but it's gonna be all our problem.
It's a one-way agreement. I'm certain that the county got the language from the entity that's selling them the software. Okay, that seems pretty obvious. So, but I mean, it's a classic contract of adhesion. You want to be part of your system, you're going to sign this thing.
Somebody representing the Bureau talked to me about this earlier in the month. Oh, yeah, this is just boilerplate. Yeah, the resolutions are funny. I should be, you just guys gotta sign that and it'll be boilerplate. And I didn't have time to study it. I didn't have time to really dig down in it. But I started looking it over and it's like, wait a second.
Usually the language arising from is, that's about as broad as an indemnity clause. This was, or in any way connected with, the negligent failure to act on behalf of the user. I did discuss with Bob earlier about this. Unusual language, but obviously it's something that is important for
And I find it
vendor.
interesting that this is going out to 41, 42 some entities, fire departments, some fire districts, protection districts, village fire departments, et cetera. And it wasn't presented in a way that allowed the fire departments to network with each other and discuss and say, hey, what do you think about this? Have you talked to your attorney about that? It's just, here, this is, everybody sign this document and get it back to us.
Boilerplate, everybody's gonna sign. 41 will sign it without discussing it as long as you have.
I mean, I'm already on section 3. I already got a couple questions. And I'm only on.
You haven't had
section
this
3.
fixed yet? Okay.
No, I mean, well, one, utilizing route arrival buttons and minimize radio traffic. I get that. So, now we gotta get tablets and, for example, here at Rush, First Response 9, Squad 4-2, Utility 4-2, Utility 9, you gotta use the buttons. You gotta have something on every fire vehicle in the district that can meet that criteria of 2212. Then 3.1, newer replacement devices. What devices require completion of the Bureau of CAD's access request form? What's the newer replacement device that we have to acquire through the county? So I'm only on section 3, and I've got a couple of questions. On top of that, we gotta make sure your GPS permissions are allowed. It looks like basically they're gonna use our equipment as AVLs. And that's 2.1. We haven't got down to mandatory training, must complete this training. I got questions. I already scrubbed it up. I'm guilty of not even reading this till just now.
Chief
So
Clinton has
this is
some input.
about the mobile CAD that we're gonna be getting the app for free. to download to the iPads, to have a login. And I think a lot of it comes down to is just the whole, nobody's going in there to use it as, personal gain or things like that. Access points and who's gonna have access to it and licensing, things like that. 'Cause I don't think it's like anything to do with new CAD or not responding to calls. It's basically just that mobile app feature that we're gonna be able to have to access CAD and make things like easier and welcome to the 21st century technology. So I don't know.
I get it, like when it says users shall utilize all applicable system features, including utilize en route and arrival buttons. That's why I'm saying, I know we're planning on getting 2 more tablets, one for, I think it's Restaurant 4.2 on your side, 9.6 over here.
9.6 truck port.
But, it says user shall, which means you have no choice if you sign this. So does it mean we gotta buy tablets for, like I said earlier, utility squad, brush, first responder?
Yeah, we're getting that day and age of technology where they're trying to, the whole silent thing
And, well, I mean, I don't want to pick on you, because I know you got 2 hats, like,
and.
there's 2 in the room. But, it's like in newer replacement devices, that kind of almost implies what devices is the county selling us, or that we gotta go through to replace.
You know, it's the responsibility of the fire district.
Right, but like,
I think
point 1 here,
it's gotta be approved by them, so they're gonna tell us what we can buy and can't buy, is the way I understand.
Yeah, that's what I'm
for
saying.
Android.
We gotta make sure that the tablets are gonna be compatible to the program, because it's like a conversation with Bobby, that program runs all the time when you're logged in with ABL, the data, so it's a constantly moving part that needs to be, make sure you're not buying a cheap tablet off Amazon, put the rig, and it's 2 months later, it burns out, or it's not sufficient enough. So you're giving you what you need to apply to that program.
But to Brian's point, we have to buy the utilities, so the fire police would need that, learn how to use the tablets, the brush truck, which goes, a couple times a year to calls, that would need a tablet.
I just get noticed when I say the word shall, because it implies if you don't, what happens? Say fire code, you shall do this or else, or what's the or else?
The rollout is pretty good. I mean, this should follow the rollout.
Should have been something like in Hudson Valley. Well, I haven't got farther down, but I mean, I get it, I'm all for technology, don't get me wrong, it's just when you're entering into an agreement, you see words like shall and everything's getting thrown back at the district and all the other fire departments get a little. Is there a deadline supposed to be done by?
I see this thing.
Is this a real time crunch thing where we could?
Right, we gotta buy all this stuff now.
We have to do this month, or could we say to the Bureau, we want somebody to come in and explain this back to us?
I mean, the biggest thing is, pretty much, I think we're going to kind of have to do it. But it'd be nice if there's a time frame, because you gotta go out, you gotta get mounts, tablets.
I don't think that's a horrible idea, right? I don't think that's a bad idea that you just.
It may just be boilerplate that, hey, we just gotta do this and to get this.
Well, you gotta go back to the letter of May 1, which says, once your agency's signed MOU is received, our CAD team will coordinate training sessions to ensure your personnel are prepared to use the system efficiently. You gotta buy it, you gotta pass the bill before you find out what's in there. So that's,
Well, I feel a whole lot more comfortable if there were other fire districts questioning it. So,
there won't be. They're just gonna sign it.
I don't know. I'm not opposed to it, but I'm not ready. I'm not
learn more.
I'm not comfortable.
Mr. Busta, since he works there, I'll take his input.
So I'm not really sure which hat I'm gonna wear, but, as the.
Nice shirt.
Thank you. Hold on. So as the guy who is the member of the CAT team and who's the guy who's the CAT administrator for the county, I cannot comment on what's in that MOU. I barely skimmed it myself. That came from the county attorney's office. I don't believe our vendor had much to do with that, but I could also be wrong in that aspect. Anywho, it is our understanding that we know that the 40 different fire departments and 17 ambulances and all that probably can't potentially afford to buy iPads and have the data packages with them. So there may be departments that don't get on this at all. They hopefully will. On that, it's not and I could be wrong compared to what the language is, I'm just speaking on what I know in my position, is that not every fire apparatus or vehicle is required to have it. It's just whatever device you have available, where you choose to put it, we will give you credentials to log in as that unit and access the system. I can comment more on what the system does.
If
but-
that's, if this document said that plainly, I'd be making the motion to approve.
Sure. So that's my understanding as, my position as the county. So, we understand that, the utilities might not, the district may not find it feasible to put iPads in the utility truck or whatever, and that's.
What was the number you came up with? First response 9 responded initially, first out, for how many times last year? You had a number there.
Just like 20 or 30 if that.
Yeah, I mean, here's the truck, piece of apparatus that goes out 20 times, maybe 30 times a year, right? What, does it raise to the level of, we need to go buy an iPad for this, so they can sit there and gather dust and wear down a battery over the course of 2 years?
That's a question for you guys, obviously.
Can I throw out a suggestion that might help? Because I think you raised all valid points, Rich, but we also don't want to unnecessarily delay this, but I think we should have our questions answered before we sign a legal document. What about if we gathered our questions, gave them to Terry if there weren't legal questions, and Terry could connect with the county attorney this evening? We authorize the chairman to sign the agreement after our questions have been answered. So that way, we're not delaying it. So if they connect in a week and a half, 2 weeks, questions answered, he can sign it.
My only thought there is, I don't even know what my questions, it's very legally, it's the document. I don't know what my questions are until somebody explains it to me in English.
Well, and maybe that you could connect with whoever that you explained it. I just think everybody should feel comfortable. I think the county would probably feel more comfortable knowing we felt more.
It might just be something like a letter to even Pat Efron, just, my name had to go attorney is.
Yeah, I mean,
Just clarify, which we may shall.
I'm just looking at this indemnification clause,
So, yeah,
which started this whole discussion.
Yeah,
paragraph 6 was,
It appears that they're talking about, and Terry, you can help me with this, because there's so many ifs and shalls and whatever in this thing. But it appears that we can't go after the county for anything our people do while using the system.
That's part of what I read into that, yeah.
I mean, because then they come back and do it again, and it's almost the same thing with a couple. I don't know how that affects anything the county does, because it didn't see anything in there where they want us to. They want us to indemnify them from any actions or consequences of us using what they give us.
I get that, but I read that and say that if something happens, God forbid, in the entry of the data or the processing of the data in the software, an apparatus winds up on Geyser Road instead of Garfield Road, or where it was expected to be, that's our problem. And nobody
No,
else is.
because it says, as a result of their actions. So what's happened is they sent us there. Right? Only if, I'm not defending them. I'm just trying to read this thing.
I don't know how this whole thing works, okay, but I'm reading this going, geez. This looks like they're throwing everything onto you guys when they're the point that takes the information in and relays it and, in any way connected to, what the hell are you talking about, And usually you indemnify someone for your negligence, they indemnify you for theirs. This is clearly one way, but I don't know how this whole thing works.
And if it ain't making sense to council, then that brings a bell for me here. And if you understand, I don't know what my questions are. I got some, but I don't know what they all are. So,
Item 6, that's Mercer County lawyer sitting there saying, do whatever we can to throw it on everybody else.
And So I think it's Terry said, there's probably fire departments that are, night that their board of fire commissioners, or their little board meetings. Oh yeah, we gotta get this, we wanna be the first one to have the whole kit.
We want to do.
I would like to have some kind of informal presentation on what this means and what are we trying to accomplish here? And why do we need this means of doing it? And how did the language come about that basically makes it something you all. Meantime, we came up with questions.
Would a phone call to Ed Heffron, do you mind make text to him, and then maybe you can explain it better to you, want to send an email, or do you want me to reach out?
I can call that.
I'm just saying, if it helped, if it came from him for help, you understand what their, where their end goal of this MOU is.
What do you want to do? Do you want to do something with me now in the next meeting? Do you want to tentatively approve it?
I mean, I think tentatively approve it. You're shaking your head.
Yeah, we just think we tentatively
But
approve
just,
it.
I think
Satisfactory.
You tentatively approve it, you tentatively approve it, you basically said.
That's what I'm leaning.
Is there if we do this next month, is that?
It's like
Sort
you
of
said,
We asked the audience expert what
I-
the implications if we table it.
you don't know, like you don't.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't, that's, the contract stuff for MOU is not part of my responsibility there, but I know that the deputy director is pushing our team very, very hard to start this training like very soon.
Well, we're not really tentatively approved. You're approving it pending a satisfactory answer. If you have your conversation, and you're not comfortable, he doesn't sign it. It's not approved until it's signed.
I don't know that I can verbalize Brian's questions, your questions, Bob's questions.
Send any questions to me, I'll call that.
Your communication is, when is your supposedly, what is your target now to start the training that you have? Do you have anything?
I don't know if I can put a firm date on it, but I would probably imagine June.
I'm sorry?
June, probably. We have a couple of new hires starting that will have to train on actual CAD, but we're looking June. If not, we're probably gonna start training at least the county staff this month.
So,
Or the meeting June 9th.
we can table it the next month and the answer's still not really effective.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the liability, if I had to guess, has to come with like what you can do on the device, and one of that being you can create a call on the device yourself, like you start getting these, 50 pump out calls or whatever, and you're taking calls at the station, you can essentially create a call, you can assign yourself to a call before the dispatcher does, and you can clear yourself from a call that could potentially also clear out the call from the system, which I think that's maybe what they're getting out, like if you're the last unit on a call and you aren't yourself available, the call goes away. That's what we would do probably anyway, but if it was a mistake, I think that's kind of what I had to assume is a functionality of the system that you'd be concerned about happening on the user end. But again, I mean, you guys have your questions.
But as Terry said, this indemnifies you if you accidentally clear the call and.
Oh, and trust me, when that happens, I will get pulled into the back office and, slapped on the hand, so. But, again, yeah, that's what you guys decide, so. But whatever questions about the software, I can answer for you.
How many departments have signed up already, Benny?
I do not answer.
That's fair.
I don't-
That's fair.
Yeah, I honestly have no clue. I'm sure we've probably gotten a few back. Like Rich said, there's gonna be a bunch out there that are gonna go, I wanna be the first, and
Bob has his hand up.
I just wanted to inform the board, before the proposed MOUs came out, I had spoke to Ed Hefner because I had heard something about third-party costs and the equipment. And before we purchased these two iPads that were approved last month, I wanted to make sure, A, that we're buying the right equipment, and B, were there going to be any other additional costs incurred by the user, the fire district, so that if there was, you would know tonight, right? He had said no. He answered both questions. We didn't get into the logistics of how many, but I had said to him, well, our plan right now is just our main 6 large pieces. That's what we're going to do. And his comment to me was similar to what Bob said, that, not everybody's going to outfit every single unit in the whole county. It's just not going to go that way. but we didn't get into a conversation. I just wanted to let you know that I did have a conversation, but it was before any of this MOU stuff came out.
I mean, that's refreshing to hear, sorry.
Yeah, I didn't want to go buy these iPads that we did purchase. We have them and then find out, oh, they're not going to be compatible.
Right, see, I want to avoid a situation where it's like, when it says in here, I know you guys can write the language, but you shall utilize, and then dispatch of first response 9. You're not using your iPad, we're not talking to you.
Yeah, I can assure you that.
But I just
Now,
wanted whoever speaks to Mr. Hefner, at least you know that I did have a conversation with him before this came out, but it was.
It sounds like the disjoint then is not between county 911 and what we envision. It's more between what county 911 us envision versus what the county attorney might envision. Or what he's put on paper.
I just don't know what your exposure is, what you're identifying for, I don't know what just said it's going to do.
Supposed to give all the information, you know, you're supposed to, your apparatus is not gonna pick up a microphone and call en route, you're gonna hit a button. When you with service, supposedly you're gonna hit a button. All your information is gonna come up on a CAD screen in the apparatus. It's, you know, it's 21st century technology finally making it replacing radios.
Bobby, you'll see more personal information of the call taker and stuff.
Yeah, like I said, they're probably worried about dissemination of information too, as we are when we get hired as dispatchers, right? I mean, on the iPad, you will see, you know, caller's name and callback phone number that they call from. On top of just the app and the apparatus, you guys will have access via web link on the computers to be able to pull up your agency's calls for times and numbers, so you don't have to pick up the phone and call anymore, which I'm sure everybody loves talking to us from the individuals down there anyway. But, so, you know, with that, you will see a lot of information on that aspect more than you would actually on the iPad, meaning, you know, keystroke times potentially, all that stuff. There's only so much that we can take away from the view of the user, but you will have a lot of that information. And, you know, I'm sure you guys follow the news where there are some first responders out there that take advantage of that information. So that's what I think they just want to be able to, in so many words in a conversation and of the office, is if somebody from some agency pops up, then they're going to shut it off on you. I have no other way to put that. So
That's reasonable, and that's
You know?
reasonable. But I don't see that in that language.
again, that's just from the guy who's doing this whole
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so going round and round here, so do we want to table it, get some more information?
Somebody come from the bureau come next month and explain it.
I mean, they need to come to the meeting, can they just, do we just have a meeting between a point person on the board? And then,
And the commission.
I think that would be easier on everybody involved.
Yeah, unless he does, unless he still.
We're still gonna have questions, I know that.
Yeah, unless they want to come here, then,
Right.
you know, we get that 3 months to talk to all 5 of us. Do a night meeting, and so be it. No more chief sheet.
So you guys like do meetings, email, phone call, or can you just have the chief sheets on for visibility?
Yep.
Whether they come to the meeting or see emails, just so you know.
No problem.
Okay.
Then I make the motion that we table it, assign the dialogue with one of the commissioners who's willing to take that on. So we hope we have answers, or we'll meet with them next month. Would be my motion.
Are you willing to take that on, Brian? They said your answer. Thank you.
I'll second it.
Daniel second. All in favor?
All right.
And do we want Terry to reach out to the county attorney too, just to?
I think you should have this conversation.
See what the responses come in first. We'll get the response, I'll send it to the board, the chiefs, I'll get the questions also, but some of the response out to everybody, Terry.
Brian is.
I mean, folks, I think it's been very clear to everybody that we're not saying that this is a bad thing, we just don't understand.
It's not understood.
You get the question like the next couple days. Take
Thank you.
a couple days to review, email me any questions. Independently, so we don't have a quorum.
It should. All right, one more thing for new business, wasn't on our list. It's been talked about, fellow commissioners and moving our commissioner meetings back to mine, still seems the building is done on the evening ones. So starting in June, we'll be back to Linesville, we flip flop it back, even and odds would be in Freesville. As long as everybody's all in favor of that.
Just for a side note, I brought it up we talked about the potential, and the Lionsfield membership were like, really? That's great. So I think it's a step to try to ease some of those.
And that's what we did for years.
Yeah, it only stopped because it only stopped because of construction.
Take COVID and then.
COVID, then construction.
All right, moving on, Park Chiefs report, Chief Sheehan.
Hopefully mine's pretty short. From last month, talked about the unsafe structures in town, just working for now. Sent another email just for some clarifying information about what that actually means. And whether they're gonna placard the buildings that are marked safe. I got an email back and shared it with for months later, but to shorten up, they're not gonna placard the buildings because the town feels that that can draw attention to arsonists. And that's just a paraphrasing, And this information is just for us to do as we see fit with. So I know on the Christmas side, the market structures on the IR map and the police department CAD and they're called one now. The police department and the 911 center has information, so there should be alerts on all the addresses with the associated information. So there's that. Another question, I guess it's a little bit for Mr. Hanlon. We have two firefighters in BFO right now. And before they get to IFO, they need in-date and fitting PPE. There's not going to be live burns before they have in-date gear that's also well-fitting. Their size for gear, and we're hoping that it's going to come in on the end before IFO starts for live burn starting. If that doesn't happen, would we be able to, and I looking forward to, would we be able to reach out to our partner agencies, maybe get loaner gear from them, just to get these two guys in classes and miss out on IFO? And then would there be any legal stuff that, hey, if we destroy the gear in the live burns, we owe X agency money for the gear? I didn't want to ask any of the other chiefs yet before I asked your answer, waste my time, but I just don't want to see you guys miss IFO and have to wait till the fall. So if there's, or if has another idea about how to get these guys in gear, if their gear that's already on order for them doesn't fit.
I think you're right on both counts, but if you were going out doing something else, you probably want the assurance from them that, But yeah, this is I found my Brian Stevens memo that said it didn't matter how old the gear was. Apparently that's been rescinded now a couple of times. But I just don't know about that. So it's always been up to the AHJ to send them the gear. So apparently now our friends at OFBC are deciding they're in charge. Not the AHJ. So have to take a medal.
It's like, so we're planning, we're hopefully, like Andrew said, it should be here by the end of the month before we start IFO. But we're just trying to plan that if for some reason the gear doesn't come in. We look forward to be comfortable with Chief going and trying to find these guys in-date fitting gear so they can do the live race.
You're probably gonna have to more likely not borrow internally,
Yeah, so we looked through all of our stuff and we got nothing. We looked through wine skill stuff. We also, the district does not have gear that is in date and fits these two gentlemen. So that's kind of why. But we can always look again and maybe try to give them something, but it's not. But fingers crossed, they're.
Need to act on it, needs to borrow.
We decided right now, because we got a month before.
Does it start after our 2-month meeting?
Don't believe so. I believe it's first week in June.
Is it?
But I don't know if the firms start having that idea.
Yeah.
But just something to think about, or so kind of our idea. So know the next time. Next round.
Yeah, Rob, Chief, I don't know, for example, I have interior gear, I have an exterior this year. If my stuff fits, that it's within the 10 years mine is, for example, you can always give me older gear we looked at that option too, so.
Yeah, we
So close to the
looked at
sunset.
everything, tried to move some stuff around.
Okay.
We can look again because we just one set, but we try to direct super and stuff. They're
It's
they're
fair.
normal size firefighters, so you don't. You're not doing in-house, so we'll keep looking in-house, we're live, so make sure we didn't miss anything, but some good boards they got.
But actually, you have a slice on that.
Is that it for your report? Thank you. Chief Wilson?
All right, I'll try to make up again. Didn't do. So mine's about a page and a quarter. Report should be attached, reads report for vendor reimbursement, things like that, is all in there. The apparatus work, rescue 4.2s will premiere today, for the next couple days. The group from the rehab committee, is trying to either go over tomorrow, hopefully. They're just trying to figure out their, work schedules to go over tomorrow afternoon to take a look at the underbody for that, and kind of put some more notes together for a final report. Truck 4.2 goes in June, the other rig's going in the fall. PM work for the 2020 Explorer goes Friday, the 13 Tahoe went 8th, and the damage repaired on the 18 Explorer. Equipment operations, so I've gone up to now 37 cylinders have been tested and served, and returned to service. I lost 10 because of the end of service life. Assistant Chief Chris Wilson and talked to the Chief of Schoolback Landing. When they bought the new SCBA back in 2018, apparently they bought too much. And they have some cylinders that they're looking to sell. Still brand new in the box. They're 2018s for $400 a piece. Which would kind of help out because I only have like 5 in service spare cylinders at the fire station site that's on the rigs. Something we could look into doing. I mean, they're 18, so they can be hydro tested, so it's a few bucks, they're actually saving themselves a little bit of money, but they'll get another 7-8 years out of them. It'd be very helpful. Decom project that's moving along, which I think a couple of things cited for that, the shower curtains and small ups. I thought Joey and me had talked about it last week. Bob and I talked about the mobile CAD computer, the desk computers for a couple spots in the firehouse. I talked to Joey about moving the iron responding monitors, replacing one of them, just to make sure they're a little more user friendly for everybody. So just where they're located, just doesn't make too good of sense because you can't use them. And the one keyboard that's 8 feet off the ground, you have to get the ladder or somebody tall enough to reach it for you, and relocate them. I put them in my report as well, photos, so you can actually see what I was talking about. That's nice. Talk to Joey about the rotating the mounts and there'll be just new monitors for them. Firefighter physicals are set for next month, a couple dates, paperwork for them, put out for them. There's my list of fire hydrants, so Chief Sheen's email about another fire hydrant that's been damaged. So some of these have been quite a time frame. With the lane, that was like 4 years ago. Hilly Road was like 3 years ago. So there's, I don't know what the town's planning on doing with them eventually, hopefully get fixed, because the one in the lane is only hydrogen service in that neighborhood. 150. And some of our events going on for the next month. Green Help Day and Friday, our banquet, thanks for people who RSVP for that parade. And then we're going to help the Veterans or Vietnam Memorial that's going on in South where they want someone to fill some barrels up. And that last item for executive session.
Thank you. Everybody look through the purchases the two chiefs had. The resolution.
Make resolution approve the 3.
Second by Dan. Roll call vote.
Brian.
Aye.
Dan. Aye. Nick.
Aye.
Bob.
All right, standing committee reports. Apparatus equipment, fire panic operation.
Well, we had a truck 4.2 committee meeting last Thursday. We are, Rich and myself are both we're both in tune with putting down just rough parameters of what we're looking for. You know, size, cab, and those kind of things, nothing specific.
We're essentially reissuing and updating and reissuing the email that went out to the vendors on July 22nd this year. That went out, we started to get some feedback, and then we put it on hold with the proposition to re-chassis the existing area came up. And all the vendors that have called since, I've told them that we're looking at this other option. If the other option doesn't pan out, we're gonna resume where we were. It's been now 10 months, and we're just tired of waiting. But, you know, the other vendor, you know, the person, the company that was gonna re-chassis still seems to think, oh, well, we may be able to do something for you. We're tired of waiting. Like, we're losing money every month we wait, we're losing money. That's what they identified previously. So we're gonna go back out and,
We did. I spoke to Spartan. It's best we move on.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just put it in, you know, I don't know what's going on, but it's not to the benefit of North Greenville. The other part of it is, I think Rich and myself are both trying to condense this timeframe. And
at the very least, make up for the lost year.
yeah, I mean, we're kind of getting, they want to meeting us to death, and I'm just opposed to it. I mean, we got some basics. I was going to talk to Rich later. Just contact these people and say, this is what it is. I'm going to call you in another 2 weeks. I'm going to give you a bunch of dates. Whichever one picks the date first, and one that gets that date, and just move on.
Come on in, talk to us, tell us what we can do. You know, we don't want to get burdened down with detailed specifications that talks about how many times they fold the metal over at each corner. You know, that's not our business. We're not the fire truck design doers.
It's about the KME issue.
Yeah.
And they're one of the people that make a mid-mount. I'm listening to one of the guys in the truck committee, it is from, Old Road, right? Or Shaker Road.
Former member, Shaker Road.
Yeah. They had a KME when he was chief over there. And he said, if you looked at his call log on his phone, number one, it was one of the top ones that he called. And it was just constant. They just issues, coupled with the issues that Greaseville's had with the KME. I don't think we need to not talk to them, but I just think that that's something that, you know, I think one, you mentioned it to them, and two, you keep that in mind if, you know, just say, for example, we go to bid in the lowest bid, you say, oh, hold on.
Unfortunately, you're gonna get good and bad by every manufacturer, depending on where you go. You know, I think they're one of the biggest, busiest departments over in town Colony. And they'll tell you that, you know, Latham will tell you that KME is the best thing since any of that. So it's, you know.
Yeah,
Shaker feels the opposite, so it's.
you can only deal with whatever information you get and then make that. The other curveball that was put into it was we'd always looked at a mid mount because rear mount wouldn't fit in the Mexico station. Well, there's one manufacturer that makes standard build that's 11.6 going down the road. It's rear mount. So we've kind of floated it to the committee, and I'd say, at least from my talking to most people over there, it was kind of like, well, we need to take a look at it. You know, there's one or two that are definitely opposed to it. So I don't.
Rear mounts, you talk to some people, you know, that aren't familiar with them, they'll tell you, oh, you can't do as much with a rear mount. You talk to people that are very familiar with apparatus, especially aerial apparatus, they'll tell you how much more versatile the rear mount is than the front, the midship mount, because you can, you back it in, and then you got all that hanging, you can work at it without having to worry about cab or anything else. It's just, it's the chief pointed out in the meeting, it's a training curve. It'd be, you know, retraining the people, kind of reintroducing how business is running, how we position apparatus, how we place the pumper so that we can get the aerial in, all that would have to be updated and modified.
And I think we discussed that, and I just put it out, that it's not so much the operation of the vehicle, because other than having the bearing in the back versus the front, it's pretty much the same. It's the fire ground situations, that kind of stuff, that's where the most learning curve would be, I think.
But the good news is we're moving ahead. We've got another meeting scheduled. The meeting minutes from our meeting last Thursday went in Dropbox today. I needed those minutes to compare our notes from Thursday to that memo from July 22nd, because nobody could see to pull it up on their phone when we were together the other night. So I got it now, or July 22nd. I think we're going to merge them together, meld them together, and get that back out. That's our next big step.
The next meeting is supposed to be 29.
Yeah, I think it's 29th.
May 29th.
May 29th, because of we moved it because of the Memorial Day holiday.
Yeah.
I'm trying, Brian.
No, it's,
Anything else?
I don't know.
I didn't know if you had any equipment or paramedic operations. You just touched on apparatus. All right, perfect. All right, building grounds, Brian?
no major report, just a little message that Bob took care of, here's the answer starting to come out. Thank you, Bob.
On the year. Personnel. Okay, we can do for me. Yeah, executive
Yeah,
session.
no sessions about it.
There's no one is going
Yeah,
to report.
executive session later, after this. Long range, finance, insurance, and audit. Dan, I have nothing. All right, long range planning now, Brian.
Nothing earth, I mean, we're moving on with the apparatus, and the other question would be under low sat, but as far as, following our goals.
All right,
going for low sat.
policies, procedures, and membership. You have 4 new proposals for the members at Line Skill. Chad Castle, Nicholas Frost, Jack Porter, and Peter Rivenberg. Make a motion. Dan, you make the motion, I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Membership. All right, congratulations to those members.
It's a good number.
LoSAP. I have nothing, but I know you just.
Well, it's not, I mean, it's more long range plan. I know we brought it up again in a long range plan, and we started the ball last year about looking at possibly changing our low sat program. Didn't know if there's any desire slash, I know we're looking to get some answers about some questions we had, but it's something we really want to.
I did reach out to Penflex on that, and they reached back to me, what they want me to do about it. They want to know more about our current plan,
Gotcha.
who's managing it, how are we investing it, so on and so forth. So if it's all right with the board, can I share that information with Penflex?
Yeah.
Information.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Just so you've got a lot of newer members who are asking a question, and it has a potential longer term.
Again, 2 things that were brought to my attention that is just number one, evidently the payment for the people that have maxed out on the thing for 10 years. $700 a year.
That's post entitlement.
Huh?
That's
Post
post.
It's only 10 years?
That's post
Yeah,
entitlement.
it's only 10 years.
Okay.
But it is for
Part of LoSAP or whatever.
Yeah.
They say it's supposed to expire this year or next year.
Whatever it is, certain
Huh?
people, yes, there are certain people that are gonna hit the 10 years.
Right, so they're wondering if there's gonna be anything done with that. Just bringing the question that was posed to me. Coupled with that, they're asking if they could have a representative at one of our monthly meetings from the LoSAP administrator to explain to the members all the nuances of it.
just had
They were just-
CFIS here.
October-ish?
You were the chair, so maybe
Yeah,
December.
October,
I think it was
November, right around
November,
there.
December.
At the meeting or
Is that our
Town
meeting?
meeting.
on this meeting, they were looking for it in the department. So the members would have a handle on it, and I said I would bring it to the board. That's all.
You know who has a great handle on our LoSAP plan? Is the gentleman sitting right in the middle of the room.
Not anymore.
He's out of it. He's done.
Yeah, but he rewrote the book on it. so-
No, he's done a lot of hard work on that.
Yeah.
And they were just asking like, okay, you know, when do you get paid, when do you not get paid, what happens in between when you get your 30 years, and you don't have no more years? And I said, I don't have the answers, and I think nobody did at the meeting, did they, Dan?
No, probably go back and forth.
I know, Sean, like one of the biggest questions, some of the members that's coming up is they're hitting their 30 years on LoSAP. So they're starting their post entitlement,
Right.
but they're at age 55. So they want to know where that $700 goes. And
It goes to Lincoln Financial.
I said it goes into, not that, I didn't say stock, but goes into another account where it accrues. right?
And they have the ability to manage
They can trade it. if
where they want to. put
Right,
that
not
in
trade it,
there.
but they can move it if they
Right.
want to be aggressive or not aggressive with it.
Right, how they want to invest.
And the other question to that was, when they turn 65, do they get a lump sum or do they get payments? That's, I mean, those were some of the questions.
That's where they're and their tax advisor will decide how they.
But, so they could get it if they wanted to, and that, I think that was,
We cannot be their tax advisor.
right, I know that, they were just wondering. if-
They were just wondering where the money went, you know, until they were able.
Most of the, oh, I'm sorry, Dave.
No, I think these are all fair questions. Something we might wanna explore is, and I'm sure a lot of the members under the Freesville in the town might have these same questions. If we hosted, you know, an optional informational meeting at one of the stations, but you open it up to everybody. Not just on post entitlement, but the regular LoSAP.
Well, that's what it was. supposed
Yeah,
to be. It was-
you can invite, but we can invite Michelle Fanning, we can invite whoever handles our post entitlement. I don't think VFIS needs to make a special trip up here, but maybe they could tie in virtually. People can get a little bit of overview of the program, have a chance to ask questions. I think these are all fair questions. I'm just. Can we look at something like that?
No, I don't manage the plan, so you don't say sorry. to me.
No, I think.
Generally, our point person though is, you know, if somebody's, you know, reaches entitlement age and so forth, it's Michelle Fanning. She is our agent for that and she processes the paperwork
So
to get that. to move
if I
forward.
was to approach Michelle and ask her if she wanted to speak to the board,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think maybe after you
Pretty
guys
safe.
talk, if you think, hey, maybe we should set up a little,
yeah, I just, you know, I don't want to just do it.
I think those are all good questions.
And it's because there's new people getting to the point where they're gonna start, they wanna know how do they move forward, yes.
Well, now that there's younger people involved, that's, I fall under that category, is my 30 years will be at 49. My 10 years will be at 59, so that's, a lot of the younger people are finally starting to max out. Actual LoSAP is starting to look at, oh, I'm 53, I'm just gonna collect only 63. So I know there's some of the older members now are, like you said, are aging out. I know there's one or two that are aging out at the 10 years of the post entitlement.
Yeah.
So it might be something in our long range plan and to try to start thinking about it. You know, maybe we might have to, you know, make it 20 years or.
Just so you know, anybody that wants to face it, the person that come to me with the 10 and out thing, already know.
We knew that.
We knew that. So, whoever wants to approach it gets to talk about.
We'll talk to Michelle and see what she says. Thank you. Anybody else have any? Chief?
Right now, there's 4 people that are going to lose their benefit. I think next year, I think that'll be the 10th year for all of them. So when it first started, it was like 16 people. So unfortunately, a lot of people have passed away. So we have like 4 left. And I did talk to RD and I was one of those ones that were having questions about, after we go and get our extra 10 years. What happens? And nothing happens. Nothing against the board. But these people that are getting to their 10 years, like myself, we're gonna have 50 years here. So if 50 years of service isn't worth looking into a little bit more for the gentlemen that are still taking 200 calls, you can look into it, because it's gonna happen on the freestyle side too, eventually.
It's not gonna happen as quickly, because the first people will have a reset with the, or a change to the preschool program, and that box got locked, and then we joined the fire district program. So we've got, I'll be really old to max out on the fire district program.
And then you can collect, as long as you're active, you can collect at 62 also.
We don't even have to be active.
Yeah.
As long as you're vested.
62,
Once
yeah,
you're vested, you can
The
start.
people that aren't active, they collect at 65.
No,
No,
62 is the retirement age.
well, Joe, there's two things you're talking about. Somebody, like past Chief Hamlin, he stopped participating 10 years ago, right?
Right.
So after he stopped participating, the board changed it from 65 to 62. He was still locked in at the 65 because he's no longer active. Now that he's back in the program, he can start, and he gets a year in, he can start drawing at 62.
So the people that haven't been around for a while don't collect until they're 65.
Right.
Right, but they're still active at 62.
Correct.
And the only other thing that's a little bit quirky about it, and this really only applies to the DeFreeseville members. Before the districts merged, the town ran the DeFreeseville end of the plan. So that plan starts at 65. So when I reach 62, I'll start collecting on the fire district plan. When I reach 65, I'll start collecting on the town plan.
There's one question that were brought up, like Bobby said, because when we were sitting at the, in the radio room the other day, just waiting for some guys to get back from a call, all these little questions came working on, what was angry, what was mad, there's questions about what happened, so.
I would encourage you to talk to Michelle. And I think we really should try to host some kind of an informational night. And there's people out there, you don't know, you don't know. So people may have
And
questions.
that's exactly what
Yeah.
they said, we don't know,
Right.
what is out.
And I think we do this sooner than later, because if we are gonna start talking about looking beyond that 10-year mark, I mean, there's budgetary concerns. Come August, we'll start looking at the budget for next year. So I think it's good that people are asking questions, and you certainly should apologize.
No, it's better that they ask than to sit there and grumble about it, bitch about it behind your back.
We did have like a training session like that in this
Yeah,
year, like
I don't know, like
5 years or
yeah.
something, on everything, yeah.
But, yeah, they don't.
Yeah.
Everything, gym membership, tax reimbursement, all that stuff, yeah, all the benefits.
All right, moving on. Business operation technical, Dan? Anything either? Bob has something sometimes to you. Development plan and review. Brian,
Nothing earth shatteringly new.
let's say the floodgates haven't opened yet.
Yeah.
Of building. I did see that, at the end of, Sharp Road, Brunswick improved on Kirk Road, so. The increase, yeah, so increase in traffic, more or less. Recruitment and retention. Richie,
Well, the Recruit New York, whatever they call it this year, happened here a couple weeks ago. I know both departments, both stations participated in it. I know over here, we didn't get anybody.
mine's not either.
Winesville didn't get anybody either. I think, I talked to other departments too, I think it was the weather. I don't know, it's just maybe it's, we did it, we had to do it, we checked the box, we did it, we've done everything, it's just one more thing that we've done in terms of recruitment activity here. I know that, the official schedule to participate in the third day at Columbia High School, they're coming up. They've got a ice cream social, trying to see if they can bring people in. That's scheduled, and they, with one other head.
Columbia High School.
To the Columbia High School ice cream social, and there's one of those that they're working on as well, that they're looking into. Oh, it's a virtual. They want to do a virtual. They figure the young a lot of the young people, that's the way they operate now. So they can do something virtual, maybe we can attract some people that way, as a means. I know they talked to the Lancaster guys as far as maybe do it as a fire district thing instead of a Freesville / Lancaster thing. You know, I don't know. I know there's Emily's away this week, so I don't know any more additional information.
Question, did they look at maybe putting a flyer in the fun ground?
Looked at that before, flyers in the fund drive envelope, notices in the fund drive envelope, get met with donations.
That works.
I know, you know, well, no, the fire companies get donations, they don't get any members.
Well,
And we've talked about doing a separate, like, the fund drives in the fall, maybe in the spring, we're recruiting. Well, that would probably hurt the fund drive, right? Because people won't read it, they won't differentiate, they'll look at the mail and say, oh, something else from the fire department, people I want money. And never read the damn thing.
well, I mean, there's a way to get around that too, is to make the letter or the envelope, something on it that bold that says, you know,
We talked about something that says, we don't want your money, we want you, but that would hurt the fund drive in the fall.
I mean, for a regular fund drive mailing or already doing postage, certain stuff, I don't really know that it would hurt to put something else in there, like a palm card almost. Not another big letter, but.
yeah, just say, hey, along with, we appreciate it, along with extra donation, we really can use members. We need members.
For an application.
You or anybody else, may be interested, we'd love to talk.
So we both use municipal marketing services. I just emailed, Fox today. Maybe let's ask them, hey, if any other departments ever done this, what's the additional cost?
We said, yeah, that's a great idea.
At least get the information.
But it's hard to be, if it's, why it's like it's $500 we waste by adding something into it.
Yeah,
And we get one
and
person.
we would, pay the fire companies.
No, yeah, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
if you get one person out of it, out of both departments, it's more than you had before. Oh. And one guy in our department, car 3, made the suggestion in our department. I think he was looking at a department to do it, was he, Dan?
What's that?
Eddie, with the thing that he
Oh, the
did?
recruitment thing from Ventura, yeah, I was doing like if you referred a member that joined, we give them a $25 gift card, and if they stayed for a year, that member who was got the referral, or got the member come in, at the year mark, give them a $100 gift card for some things.
It's tough.
I don't know of any active member that's not trying to recruit anybody that they can.
I know that, but I mean, Eddie just, so we didn't want to poop him, at least I didn't,
I mean, it's not a bad idea, but I don't know that anybody's not already trying.
You'd be surprised what people do for them.
No, we're all trying. Seen, I don't know how many is this year. DeFreesel's had quite a few, applications that we've accepted. Mine still now has a couple, so hopefully get some younger members in here and they tell their friends.
It runs in
It does.
peaks and valleys.
Seems like we go months with no action.
Peaks
So
and
I didn't know where a few sign up. All right, anything for public session? Here none, we need a motion to go into executive session.
Make the motion.
For,
What's the wording for that?
just for five.
Employment history? Okay, I'm gonna close this. Sir.
So, Mike,